How's he holding up?
Well, good morning from the great state of Vermont. I am so happy to be in Vermont because it's got mountains and I've been missing mountains. But first I have to get to them. And I was staying at the Upper Lodge in Magic Mountain, just outside of Londonderry. And I had a big day planned, so I really needed to get some miles in. And the weather was beautiful. But I kind of felt like I wasn't really going the right way. And before I knew it, I was in South Londonderry, and I thought, no, that's not the right way. But I turned around on a side road, and it looked like everything was fine, and it was certainly a fun road to travel along. So, no big deal. But when I came back to the main road, Google was telling me to go right. I was thinking to myself, really? Shouldn't I be going left here? So after a little bit, I kind of pulled over and thought to myself, better check this out, because every once in a while Google decides to act just a little bit funny. You know, we rely on it so much to guide us that when it doesn't, it can be a little disconcerting. So I kind of looked through the map and got a bigger picture of it and saw that it was guiding me the right way eventually, but it wanted me to do all these crazy loop-de-loops around the town, and I couldn't figure out why that was. I think what it was, though, is that I had the map set not to go on highways or something like that, or most fuel-efficient routes, and it was getting confused just at a little stretch of road. So what I did instead was just ignore it, get myself to the right spot, and once I did that, Google was happy again, I was happy, and away I went. So many great motorcycle roads to travel today. First up, Route 100. Once I was going the right way, at least. I traveled it from Londonderry all the way up to Warren. From there, I headed eastward on some back roads and headed on my way out of Vermont and into New Hampshire. New Hampshire, I traveled the 112, also known as the Kancamagus. Hope I pronounced that correctly. An excellent road. And then I traveled up to the magnificent and well-known Mount Washington Auto Road. Then I traveled back and had a little bit of a surprise on the Hurricane Mountain Road before spending the night at Camp Sebago Lake State Park in Maine. Route 100 started out very similar to the roads of Pennsylvania and New York State. I was out in the country for sure, but there was still population about, lots of houses and driveways, and you never felt like you were all that remote. The houses in the town of Ludlow had some real country charm to them. This one on the left is a little dilapidated, but otherwise they're quite spectacular. Now, while I had said the weather was great, it truly was bright and sunny, but it was cold. This was the 22nd of September, and I hadn't expected I would need this much clothing, but I was wearing basically all my clothes and using my heated vest, and it worked. I was mostly warm enough, and I stayed that way until about 2 p.m. So far, Route 100, considered by many to be the best motorcycle road in Vermont, was pleasant but not spectacular. It definitely picked up as I got to Stockbridge, and it became a little bit twistier and a little bit more interesting. Having been on many spectacular roads, I can't rate this road like a 5 out of 5 or anything like that. It's a fairly average road, but it's a lot of fun to ride. So it's the kind of thing like if you're in the area, definitely ride it, but I wouldn't go out of my way just to ride this road. There's lots of other roads which will give you similar experiences. Except for one thing Vermont is famous for.
You want to get maple syrup? I want syrup, but I do like maple fudge. So I picked up some maple fudge at the Warren store. That was from 1839. Okay, almost arrived.
I took the Warren Mountain Road over to 12A, and that took me to this little lane. This is actually called Lover's Lane, and it is a cute little lane. I can see this being a beautiful place to go. It's got a creek that runs right beside the road. But right now they're doing construction, and so it turned into a dirt road. I wasn't sure for how long, but actually being Lover's Lane, as you'd expect, it really wasn't that long before I got to the other side. And I'll just take a little peek here so you can see the creek that runs alongside it. Very nice. And on my way.
And here's a little pit stop to have some brunch, I guess. I think it's around 11 o'clock. So, time for a stop.
Well, it was a very pleasant rest stop. I love finding little parks in small towns, and they're very convenient for just getting a quick bite to eat. Just getting off the bike and relaxing a little bit. But about another hour or so later, and I am nearly at the New Hampshire border. So I'll be saying goodbye to Vermont. So my overall impressions of Vermont was all of the roads were pretty fun. Nothing was really spectacular, and I guess that's the downside, but on the other hand, I don't think you can really go wrong. If you have a motorcycle and you're in Vermont, you're going to have fun. And with that river crossing, I can officially say, welcome to New Hampshire, home of Mount Washington, which is going to be an absolutely spectacular ride. But first I get to ride the Kancamagus Highway. This is Highway 112, which goes through the White Mountains National Forest. And this is the kind of scenery I really enjoy. You get to see the tall mountains in the background, lots of forest, and the roads are fairly twisty here, so they're really good motorcycle roads. Lots to see, lots to do. I'm a little bit more out in the country than I was in Vermont, and for me, that's just preferable. I would rate the Kancamagus Highway 4 out of 5 for motorcycling. Definitely a road that I would travel out of my way just to experience. Well, now that I'm in New Hampshire, I'll tell a little story. A long time ago, I was sitting around at a family picnic, more or less, and my brother-in-law said, "Hey, does anybody know the license plate slogan for New Hampshire?" And he was about to go into some big story, but I said, "Live free or die." And everybody was stunned that I happened to know the license plate logo. But of course, once you've heard the New Hampshire logo, it's very memorable. Live free or die. I'm now on Highway 16, headed north towards Mount Washington. And although it's a full-on highway, this is very beautiful in its own right. I love seeing all the mountains, and the sky opens up a bit more here as the trees are a little bit further away. And of course, there's always someone willing to make your day a little bit more interesting. Yeah, I'm sure you can get a ride on the back of my motorcycle. And at long last, here we are, the Mount Washington Auto Road. Now, you can either drive yourself or you can take a tour. And I think on a motorcycle, it's pretty obvious which of those options I would like to do. But I guess some people find the road to be quite twisty and narrow, and with very steep cliffs on the side. And so, you know, it's nice that there's the option of the tour bus for those who want to take that kind of trip. Hopefully, I won't get stuck behind any tour buses. Yeah, the price here is quite steep. That's the one downside to it. I can't remember what they charged me here. Oh yeah, it was about $30. But just like the money I spent to ride the Needles Highway in South Dakota, this was money well spent. Mount Washington Auto Road is a 7.6 mile or 12 kilometer private road that was first built in 1861. It averages a 12% grade and gets up to 18% grades for stretches at a time. It's quite narrow with no guardrails, and it starts in the trees, but you eventually rise up above the trees into the Alpine zone, which is a relatively fragile ecosystem, so there's no hiking up here. There's also no bicycles allowed, except on a particular day when they have a bike race. That's bicycles. Motorcycles are allowed as long as weather permits. If you're enjoying this video, and I hope you are, please consider liking and subscribing. It helps me grow the channel and continue to make content. Either way, I appreciate having you here along for the ride. Thanks. Despite the no guardrails and the scenic views that you think someone might just drive right off the road looking at the view, there's only been 3 deaths on this road in the entire time of its existence. 1 motorcycle, of course, was hit. 1 car lost its brakes and had trouble navigating down. And 1 stagecoach, way back in the day. The stagecoach driver apparently was drunk and rode off the road. Mount Washington is also home to the record highest wind in the United States. It was measured at 231 miles per hour. Pretty incredible. Well, perhaps small by the standards of the mountains in the west, where we have the Rocky Mountains. This is the tallest mountain in the northeast of the United States, and also the most prominent mountain east of the Mississippi. It stands at 6,288 feet high. The road itself features 4,500 feet of elevation change. Well, we're here at the top of Mount Washington. It's a nice ride. It wasn't so scary as they sort of said it would be. The road was always built with a bit of a leeway, so it's never straight down like it is, say, at Beartooth Pass. It is a narrow road. It's very twisty, lots of fun. Obviously you can't go fast because there's cars and stuff, but yeah, it's reasonable. And unfortunately it's a bit cloudy, but there's lots of good views on the way up.
I'm gonna be honest with you. How's he holding up?
bike.
The nice thing about a long scenic ride up is it's going to be a long scenic ride down. Well, here comes a side-by-side ATV. You are allowed to ride ATVs on Mount Washington, but you must stay on the roads. There's no off-road going here. But yeah, they only allow so many at a time per day, and you have to register it, but you are allowed to ride them if you want. If you look down to the right, you can see the road down below. I think this is a middle section. There's some road above us and some road below us as we weave our way back down the mountain. It's even more scenic coming down actually. You get a better view of things. Well, with Mount Washington behind me, I thought my scenic riding for the day was probably done as I wound my way through the rest of New Hampshire on my way to Maine. But I was wrong. I discovered a route that was sort of a shortcut, not going on the highways, and it was on this road, the wonderfully named Hurricane Mountain Road. And this road was an absolute joy. Here I'm going through a gate, so you can see that this is a road that will be shut down when the winter storms are here, the hurricane, so to speak. But yeah, this was a very narrow, twisty road, but it was almost all heading up. And then on the other side, it was almost all heading down. It was just like, I have a mission. I'm going to get you through this forest as fast as possible, taking the shortest time possible. But it was just twisty enough and narrow enough to just be a really exciting motorcycle road. I mean, I really enjoyed riding on this. It was utterly fantastic. So if I was to rate Mount Washington, the auto road, that would be a 5 out of 5. It was wonderful for scenery. The road was awesome. It's unfortunate you can't ride it very quickly. The speed limits are very low there, but they get a lot of traffic. It's very necessary with all those tight turns and no guardrails. But you know, it would be more fun if you could ride it faster. But it's still a 5 out of 5 road. It's just a unique experience, well worth it. But now I'm on this Hurricane Mountain Road, and you know, it's probably a 4.5 out of 5. It has maybe not the great scenery, but it's awesome going through the forest, and these trees, the way they're set up, they're quite tall without a lot of underbrush, and so you can see quite well. You know, maybe this is a 5 out of 5 road. All I know is I kept having this huge grin on my face, and I was just sort of smiling the whole time. There's just something about this road. I want to be a local and ride it every day. That's really what I want to do. In fact, now that I think about it, this road really reminds me of a road back home. This would be the Ross Durant's Road, and I've got a motorcycle video about that. So I'll include that as a link in the description. So check that out if you like, and see if you think the rides are similar.
Well, that was Hurricane Red. Oh my goodness, that was excellent.
I kept a smile on my face all the way to Maine. So I'm now in Maine and I'm at Sebago Lake, and I found the state park campsite just ahead, and that's where I'll be spending the night. This was a wonderful day, my friends. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you did too. This video is part of my Ride Around America series, so if you like this one, please check out my channel for other videos you'll probably like too. Well, I think it's time for me to get my tent all set up and hunker down for the night. And hopefully it's not too cold. I'm not so sure about that. Have a good day.